Hi, my name is Stano. Today we are going to discuss about the contradiction, and because there is so many contradictions in the Bible, allow me to concentrate with the genealogy of Jesus, the lineage of Jesus. You are going to compare my list with what is written in the Bible to see whether there is any error. If there is any error, you are welcome to challenge me and to correct me. Let's start. Matthew says, the grandfather of Jesus, the father of Joseph, is Jacob. While Luke says, the father of Joseph is Heli. So, we don't know who is the father of Joseph, whether it's Jacob according to Matthew, or whether it's Heli according to the book of Luke. The Bible doesn't say why the names are different, and this is a big mistake which ends up to a contradiction. Let's hear from the Christian apologetic perspective before we continue.
The two genealogies, Matthew and Luke, are tracing different bloodlines.
Okay.
One is tracing Mary's bloodline and the other is tracing Joseph's bloodline.
Okay.
So they're going to be different.
You say one genealogy is for Mary's lineage and the other for Joseph's lineage with the confidence as if the Bible clearly says so. Nowhere Bible says that those things that you are trying to tell us. You are creating your own explanation and assuming it is the truth. Let's hear from another person.
While the two genealogies, Matthew and Luke's, are basically the same from Abraham to David, from David to Jesus, they're different. Matthew follows the line of David's son Solomon, while Luke follows the line of Nathan, another son of David.
Fine. Then genealogy in Matthew and Luke are the same from Abraham to David, as you said. But in between them, there are contradictions. We will see them very soon.
Yet there are other possible explanations for the two different genealogies.
Christians feel uncomfortable with this contradiction, and since they have no answer, they have come up with the possible explanation.
The simplest solution is that we have genealogies of both parents of Jesus, Joseph and Mary. In this case, Luke would be giving us Mary's genealogy, and Matthew gives us Joseph's genealogy. Another possible explanation for the two different genealogies is that Matthew presents a royal or legal genealogy, while Luke gives us a physical or actual genealogy. A third solution is actually a variety of other proposals that try to explain how Joseph could have had two fathers, and so two genealogies. So Heli adopted Joseph as his own son. This would then give Joseph two genealogies, his own genealogies and Mary's genealogy.
The Bible simply says the father of Joseph is Jacob according to Matthew, and the father of Joseph is Heli according to Luke. Nothing else. So trying to add the possibility, trying to say one is for the Mary lineage, or one is for Joseph's father-in-law, or Joseph was adopted as a son, all those things are nonsense, are not from the Bible. So trying to explain the different name with this idea doesn't really work.
In the end, we simply don't know, but all of these represent plausible solutions.
Yeah, now you are right. Instead of saying there is no mistake and then guessing reason, it is better to say we don't know why the names are different. As simple as that. Even if we say Heli was Mary's father or Joseph's father-in-law, the list of names in Matthew and Luke are still different after David. The list in another book of the Bible, the book of Chronicles, the first Chronicle, are also different. So it seems there are so many differences in the name listed. Let's compare the book of Chronicles, Matthew and Luke. Comparing the family list in Chronicle with those in Matthew and Luke show even more differences, which lead to more contradiction. For example, Matthew lists 11 generations, 11 names after Jacob. before getting to Josiah, where the chronicle list begins. Right there, we see two differences. Chronicles say Josiah's son was Jehoiakim, but Matthew say it was Jeconiah. Also, Josiah's grandson is listed as Zedekiah in Chronicle, but as Shealtiel in Matthew. Those are the difference which lead to contradiction between Matthew and Chronicle. Moving from Josiah to Jordan, we find even more differences, more contradiction. Chronicle lists 5 generations between Jotham and Jehoshaphat, while Matthew lists only 2 generations, 2 names between Jotham and Jehoshaphat. And this means that according to Chronicle, Jehoshaphat was Jotham's great grandfather. But according to Matthew, Jehoshaphat is great grandfather. Can you see those differences, those contradictions? I want to give you an example. Look at this scenario. One person wrote down, James is the father of Stano, and Stano is the father of Duncan. Another person wrote, James is the father of Duncan, removing Stano in between. This would mean that my father is the father of my son. My father is the father of my son. Can you see the confusion? Causing much confusion and contradiction. This confusion comes simply by removing or adding one name in between. What about adding or removing many names in between? It would worsen further. This is why the genealogy of Jesus created more confusion and contradiction between Chronicle, Matthew, and Luke. I know you wish the Bible to have 0 error, but wishing or trying to twist things will not help at all. Just accept the facts and move on. Then all 3 lists, all 3 books, Chronicle, Matthew, and Luke, agree at David. However, when they get to Aminadab, Chronicle and Matthew say Hezron was his grandfather. Hezron is the grandfather of Aminadab, but Luke say Hezron is great grandfather of Aminadab. This creates another disagreement between Luke and Matthew, and also disagreement between Luke and Chronicle. So, trying to figure out who Joseph's father was by guessing doesn't really solve anything. The differences we see between Chronicle, Matthew, and Luke suggest that the writer might not have been very careful with this family list, with this genealogy. So, this is a clear proof the whole family history of Jesus, or genealogy of Jesus, has so many disagreements from beginning to the end. From Joseph, the father of Jesus, to Abraham. There are so many disagreements, there are so many contradictions, just the way we have seen from the list. But some people who want to defend the Bible and believe it is perfect try to come up with their own explanation that aren't even in the Bible. They come up with the explanation and you wonder where they get those explanations from. And those explanations, they differ from one person to another. This goes against what the Bible itself says, and even after trying hard to change things around, they run into more problem as the list goes back to Abraham. As we move from Jesus to Abraham, we find more contradiction. So contradiction is not only about the father of Joseph, Heli and Jacob, but there is so many contradictions as you move down. Think about that and be free to challenge me in the comment below.